Before prenatal vitamins existed or any isolated vitamins existed, we got our nutrients from food. And today I am here to talk to you about the prenatal nutrition that I have used in this pregnancy. This is pregnancy number 2, almost there at the finish line. And since day 1 up until now, I have been nourishing myself and baby with food-based prenatal nutrition. It's very different from my first pregnancy, and I want to talk to you about that, talk to you about how I've been eating, what food-based supplements I have been taking to support myself with my diet, and just sharing some education from one mama to another, from one nutritionist to all of you mamas out there and maybe other mama supporters, to help you understand how you can nourish your body and honestly feel probably at your best in your pregnancy, because I feel so good this entire pregnancy and I have felt way better than I did with my first. If you're new here, my name is Valadia and welcome to Valadia Organica. This channel is full of nutritional advice and education, reproductive health advice and education, vlogs about me and my family. We've been here for several years on YouTube, so you'll see it from the very beginning to where we are now with almost 2 babies and a whole homestead. There are homestead tours, gardening tours, videos about chickens, and lots more. I am a nutritionist myself, an entheogen facilitator and guide, a reproductive health guide, and an herbalist and business owner. You can go to valadiaorganica.com to check out all of the products that we make and grow and then make and ship to you all over the United States. But today we're here for some good old education before I have this baby. A lot of you have been asking for this video. You've been waiting on this video. I finally have sat down to talk to you about food-based prenatal nutrition. Let's just go right into it. Getting your nutrition from food helps ensure that your micronutrients are staying in the correct ratio. So I know there are so many of you out there who have been educated or convinced or encouraged to take a prenatal vitamin like you would get from the store or maybe even online that is just a prenatal vitamin, and you look on the back and it's got vitamin A and B and folic acid or whatever it may have, and then that's it. It becomes sort of a back pocket or back of the mind way of nourishing ourselves when we are pregnant. So we're still eating fast food or maybe even eating not very nutrient dense, but because we're taking that prenatal vitamin, we're thinking, cool, I'm getting what I need, baby's getting what they need. What we need to understand is that our bodies recognize and absorb whole food sources of vitamins way better than they do any synthetic vitamin on the market. It doesn't matter how expensive, it doesn't matter how fancy and upscale your prenatal vitamin is. It is a synthetic vitamin if it's coming in a tablet, that you're getting in a bottle that's just straight vitamins. Taking isolated vitamins in the form of supplements often means that our bodies aren't even absorbing it. We're getting synthetic forms of the natural vitamin, which actually ends up creating deficiencies because they can't be used by the body. And so that synthetic vitamin, it fills up our receptor sites, which are the parts of our bodies that are like, oh, that's vitamin B, I'm gonna take that in. That synthetic vitamin, it creates confusion, just for an easier way for you to understand it, within the receptor sites. And then the bioavailable forms that are coming from food and food-based supplements cannot be absorbed. And these nutrients, they work synergistically. They need to be a happy family and they need to be in balance. And taking synthetic forms of vitamins can throw off our balance between our vitamins and our minerals. So a lot of you have heard me talk about how much better I feel in this pregnancy, how things have gone, and how much better I feel in my life, honestly, since I moved years ago from veganism to animal-based nutrition and minerally dense nutrition. My body has absolutely rewarded me from that move, especially in pregnancy now. Creating a whole other human requires so many minerals. It takes 10% of a mother's mineral stores, making an entire human. You're making bones, you're making organs and blood and hair, and you need all of that. And so we need to be packing it in. So I know a lot of you are interested. Let's get right into what I've been doing. Prenatal vitamins through food. What do we need as pregnant mamas. I'll go ahead and put them right up here on the screen. The foundational nutritional requirements for you in pregnancy are all of your B vitamins, especially folate, not folic acid. It is harmful. Folate. The fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, K2, choline, glycine, vitamin C, your minerals, very important. That's your zinc, your iodine, your copper, your selenium, your calcium, magnesium, your phosphorus. You're gonna need DHA, and of course, you will need lots of protein and lots of calories in general. So the first thing that I've been eating and also supplementing that has almost all of those requirements in it, especially the minerals, all the minerals, the zinc, the copper, the iodine, the magnesium, fat soluble vitamins, definitely vitamin A. It's packed with a lot of those nutrients we just listed, and that is beef liver. I've gone back and forth in this pregnancy of having some raw beef liver, maybe put into spaghetti sauces, made into a pate, or hidden in other like ground beef types of recipes. It's not as easy to consume the raw beef liver. A lot of you who I've talked to about raw beef liver have a hard time with it. So you can get capsules. I recommend having the raw liver even more. I recommend having your beef liver even more. You can cut it into little cubes that are really small, like a pill size. You can then freeze those cubes, and every day you can take it like a pill. That way you don't have to like chew it and consume it, and maybe you're not a fan of the flavor. And then you can also look up lots of liver recipes. But if you're like, it's an absolute no for me dealing with raw liver, touching it, looking at it, tasting it, then you can go ahead and try liver pills. I've done both because I just wasn't as consistent with my liver, and I did want to try to eat it every single day or consume it every day. So I have liver pills by Mother's Best. These are the ones that I prefer because most of the liver pills out there, like by Ancestral Supplements or maybe whatever other brands or companies you've seen, they source from New Zealand. That's a big source for cattle organs and for organ supplement brands. And it's not that they're awful, it's just that it's so far away. We have no idea what these cow operations are looking like. We have no idea how the cows are being treated before their organs are harvested. So I feel comforted by ordering liver pills from a friend, Dr. Susie Hazen, who raises her own cattle in California and loves them and gives them all of the best treatment they could possibly have, which I think is also infused into the food that we eat from animals. So yeah, you're gonna get your bioavailable iron and your vitamin A and your D and all the good stuff in stuff like this. One note about iron: there are so many women I talk to, clients, friends, other mothers, who get on iron supplements when they're pregnant because they've maybe gone to the OB, to the doctor, and been told that they have low iron. I will drop a podcast episode below by the Western A. Price Foundation that is very important for you to listen to if you are anemic, if you have been told that you have low iron, if you're taking an iron supplement. They will go much deeper than I'm about to go right now, and I highly recommend you listen to it, or even if send it to someone you know, if you know people who are really obsessed with their iron and are supplementing it or whatever. Iron is stored in our tissues. So when we take blood tests, which is always the way that they detect iron when you go into a clinic or a doctor's office, it is undetectable, the amount of iron you actually have stored in your tissues, because they're testing your blood and they're getting an immediate snapshot of that moment of the amount of iron that's traveling through your blood. That's not helpful, because you could have a lot of iron stuck and stored in your tissues because you are zinc or copper deficient. Copper and zinc are what helps iron move throughout the body. And most of us are copper deficient because we're not eating a lot of organ meats, we're not eating a lot of nutrient-dense seafood, things like that. And that's where it's the highest in. Our normal diets are not very high in copper. So things like liver, very high in copper and zinc. Things like oysters, actually, the highest count of copper in something you could consume on this planet is in oysters. Good old raw oysters. Delicious. Listen to that podcast episode if you want to dive really deep on that topic, but I do not recommend taking just a plain iron supplement because it's not helping you. You want to get your zinc and your copper to mobilize the iron that's already in your body. It is very, very rare that a modern day human is actually iron deficient. It's just that it's not moving. So I will have a link below for everything I talked about today, but I will definitely have a link below for these capsules. If you want to get from another company, I will have 2 links below. One for Dr. Susie Hazen's capsules and then one for Ancestral supplements, which are also great, and I've used those in the past as well. You can go ahead and like compare price points or whatever you want to do with that. There are a lot of women out there who are just taking beef liver because it's so packed with all those nutrients that we discussed earlier. But beef liver does not have all of them. It is a powerhouse, but I think you should have a more well-rounded cabinet for yourself when you're pregnant. So with your beef liver, you're gonna wanna add in these foods. Raw dairy immediately. I've had that almost every single day of this pregnancy, maybe skipped a few days here and there when I have to go order some more from the farm, or we've ran out and I'm waiting on more raw milk from the farm. I've gone down a few rabbit holes in some of my other nutritional videos about raw dairy. If you want to learn even more about my nutritional recommendations, raw dairy specifically, then you can get my course. The link is below. It's called The Catalyst. It's very affordable, and it is my Wellness for Dummies course. It's really the beginning of everything I think everyone should know. We talk about breathwork, spirituality, they talk about meditation, sunlight, very important, nutrition, psychology, just like basic emotional literacy and emotional maturity. And it is a super awesome, well-rounded course if you're someone who is like ready to just like start fresh with some good research-based advice. And there are no fads and frilly things in there. It is basic, and it is a wonderful place to start your wellness journey. So I go deep into raw dairy in that course, but yes, raw dairy is fine for pregnancy. It's fine for outside of pregnancy, especially if you're sourcing from a small farm, a local farm that can sell you raw dairy. Now, it is illegal in a lot of states, so they will sell it and the milk jug will say not for human consumption, meaning you bought it for like your dog or your cat or something. That's just a way for them to protect themselves as a farm, but it is the way that milk has been consumed since the beginning of time. And we just now started pasteurizing and homogenizing milk. When we pasteurize it, we heat it up over 160 degrees. We kill all the digestive enzymes. So it's no wonder why the United States has like half of a population of lactose intolerant people. And that's because we're basing that off of the milk we get from the grocery store, where all of the beneficial nutrients and enzymes have been cooked out of it. We need those enzymes to digest the milk. So if you're getting milk from the store and you're saying, I cannot digest that, it is because there are no digestive enzymes in it. Of course your body's having a hard time with that. Of course your body's creating mucus with that, and it's backfiring on you because it's not a complete whole food product. It has been altered, augmented, manipulated to be something that really does not serve your body. That milk isn't so great, but raw dairy, straight out of the cow and refrigerated, where all the fat is in there, all of the good stuff is in there, is fantastic for most bodies. You might have to have an adjustment period if you're someone who's not having dairy at all for a long time to get your gut used to it. But I have experimented with my friends who say, oh, milk gives me acne, or I'm lactose intolerant, or I can't do this and that and this. And they come to my house and they have raw dairy and they're like, oh my gosh, I had 0 reactions. And there it is. So that's my spiel on that. But raw dairy is gonna have your minerals that we talked about, your calcium, your phosphorus, even good probiotics, all that good fat soluble stuff that the raw dairy comes in and brings are so good and nourishing for the body, along with a little bit of protein. Next is eggs. Eggs is gonna be your best, most potent source of choline, which is very important. Pregnant woman needs like 4 eggs a day to meet your choline requirements. Current recommendation for pregnant women for choline is 450 milligrams a day. However, we keep getting new research back and we see that it actually is much higher. There are new studies coming out that show that pregnant women who get double that amount, so like 930 milligrams a day of choline, have much better outcomes for themselves and for baby. So the 4 eggs a day recommendation is somewhere in the middle of that. It's like 650 milligrams a day to get your 4 eggs, and then you can get choline from other sources as well. But for me, the eggs have been very easy. You all know that I have a ton of chickens. I'm getting a lot of eggs every day, and that's what I'm taking in. In the mornings, I make a raw milk drink with some herbal powders I drop in there. I drop a raw egg yolk. I mix that up with collagen powder. That's one of the other supplements I wanted to talk to you about is collagen. It's a great way for me to get my protein in the morning because we should be having protein within 30 to 45 minutes of waking up every day. I hope you have your notebook out because I'm just kind of blabbing on with all of this stuff that's coming off the top of my head. I don't have notes. But eating protein within 30 to 45 minutes of waking can be really difficult, especially if this is not your first baby, you've got a job, or you've got kids, or you've got anything else to do when your eyes open in the morning besides go straight to the kitchen and make yourself some sort of protein really quickly. After that, we start to have blood sugar drops, and then whatever we do eat will create spikes. Now our hormones and everything is kind of starting off on a really shaky place for the rest of the day. And this has always been my advice for all people, definitely women, mostly women. We need to start our days off with protein, 30 to 45 minutes waking. If you are in the childbearing age, meaning you are still bleeding, this is very, very important for your hormonal balance. Once we stop bleeding, the food requirements and the timing of those starts to change a little bit. But right now, your body is working so hard for you. Every 28 to 35 days, you're having a cycle. It is very important for us to be supported in this way. And you will see such a difference, especially in my clients with PCOS, endometriosis, any womb imbalances. They start to see a difference when they support their hormones in this way. I also go deep into that in my course, The Catalyst. But back to the collagen, it's a way for me to get some bioavailable protein first thing, and then I can get my daughter dressed, do this, do that, and then come back to a more full, fulfilling breakfast with my eggs and whatever else it may be. So I take 2 scoops of this in a cup of raw milk in the morning with a raw egg, and I'm feeling great, and I can keep going. This is hydrolyzed collagen from Perfect Supplements, collagen peptides. I really like Perfect Supplements. This brand in general is trustworthy. I like all of the different supplements that they have, and most of them are whole food-based supplements. So it's just whatever food that was dried, put into a capsule, and here you go. This will be linked below. But back to the choline, if you were to have your 4 eggs a day, if you were to add into that your beef liver supplements, 8 ounces, a cup of raw milk, and then maybe at least 4 ounces of some actual muscle meat, like some beef, ground beef or something like that, you've met your choline for the day. You're almost at 1,000 milligrams. You're at 900 something with just those 4 things. So that for me is pretty much what almost every day looks like. Some raw milk, some eggs, some beef meat, and some liver. Okay, so after eggs and choline, we have oysters, my absolute favorite. Oysters are absolutely so delicious. I love them raw. Yes, it's fine to have in pregnancy. I have been eating everything under the sun that an OB would probably tell you shouldn't eat, like soft cheeses, sushi, raw fish, oysters. This nutritional advice is very outdated. It's like telling someone not to have butter and to have margarine made with canola oil instead. We're not doing that anymore. We're in 2024. Your body is strong. Your body is good. Here in the United States, we have a lot of regulations. The raw fish is fine. The oysters are fine. It's a rabbit hole, right? But trust yourself. Being pregnant is about trust. And we can outsource a lot of our trust to the professionals, or we can take it within and really listen to ourselves. And these foods have been consumed by pregnant women since the beginning of time. So we're fine. And I've been eating oysters like crazy because I've been craving them, and they're just so perfect and a great way to get some minerals in. If you live in a place where you cannot source raw oysters, or maybe you don't even like the experience of eating raw oysters, then I have another food-based capsule for you here, and that is desiccated oyster, some nice dried oyster. It is a 100% oyster extract powder made by Smidge. I've been taking this since before I was pregnant, but I definitely take it every day during pregnancy to make sure I'm getting all of those good minerals that we talked about before. You're definitely going to be getting your zinc and your copper. That's the highest amounts. The zinc keeping your immune system well, because we do fluctuate with weak and strong immune systems throughout pregnancy on purpose for the development of the baby, but then can make us get little colds and things like that throughout pregnancy, which is really not fun when you're growing a baby. So it helps with the immune system. It also is just going to give you those minerals. I'll have a link below for this. Speaking of getting sick, I have gotten sick, I think twice, maybe 3 times throughout this entire pregnancy with a little small cold. I got one time it turned into something larger. It was just like a sinus infection that was just gross and hardcore, because my daughter is going to school now, and so she's sometimes bringing the heebie-jeebies back home. And what has helped me so much, because in pregnancy I don't want to be taking any over-the-counter Tylenol or Dayquil or any of these things that like you kind of fantasize about. But I don't want to take that while I'm pregnant, or really ever. It's not great for the gut or for the health of my body, along with the health of baby. So I usually take a lot of different herbs and things like that when I'm sick, but this one specifically has been awesome. This is my oregano oxymel that I made last year with some very, very strong Cuban oregano that I grew myself. And I steeped it for a very long time in apple cider vinegar and then added honey to it. That's how you make an oxymel. And I have a lot of these left over. Once they're gone, they're gone. I think maybe I have like 50 more in the shop, but this comes from my shop. And what people like about this in pregnancy is, unlike my other products that are made with alcohol to extract the plant constituents from the plant to get out all the good stuff from the plant, this is using apple cider vinegar, so you're not having to consume alcohol. If that's something that you don't want to do while you're pregnant, then you can use this very strong oregano oxymel that is antibacterial, antiviral, all of the antis, very powerful. And so whenever I felt like I was getting sick or I did get sick, I would just be pumping this multiple times a day and it'd be gone within a couple of days. Okay, some other foods that are great: your bone broth, your collagen. We talked about the collagen, but you can also get your collagen through bone broth. I've been drinking chicken bone broth mostly throughout this pregnancy. You can like add some spices to it if you like, add a little bit of salt to it, I like to do, and just drink a nice hot mug of bone broth. It's incredibly restorative for the gut. We want our guts to be balanced and well so that we can give babies good, healthy microbiomes as they're coming out. Protein, it's gonna lubricate the tissues. It's really juicy. It's fantastic. Vitamin C, you're gonna be also wanting to get from food-based nutrition. So this is your fruits. Acerola cherry is like really one of the highest. Camu also. Perfect Supplements, this brand that makes my collagen, makes a really good vitamin C capsule that's just the dried acerola cherry. For me, I've been doing a lot of citrus, a lot of fresh squeezed grapefruit, fresh squeezed orange juice that I'll make with my squeezer. Also some dark leafy greens, but cooked only, because raw can be really rough on our gut. So lots of cooked spinach, things like that is what I've been using to get my vitamin C. So you may have seen my cute little array of herbs here. Your nutritive herbs are really the way to go for minerals as well, because they are categorized with this food-based nutritional video. These herbs are what I've been using to make infusions almost maybe multiple times a week throughout my pregnancy, maybe 3 times a week. You'll see me drinking one of my infusions. In my last video, you saw me making infusions and I said I would talk to you about them in this video. Here we have my top 3 and the top 3 that I recommend for women in pregnancy. The first one is nettle. This is some homegrown nettle I grew in my garden in the summertime. It's winter here now, but this is dried nettle. It is packed with minerals and vitamins. Also a really dark color. That dark pigment gives you polyphenols for really great gut health. That's gonna help with your digestion, which can get really effed up in pregnancy, and with baby's gut health as well. Nettle you can have throughout your entire pregnancy, and I've been using it as a little multivitamin my entire pregnancy. But this is not a 1-a-day pill. This is a nettle infusion you can make, which would be filling it up about halfway with the dried herb, then putting hot water, closing it up, leaving it for at least 3 to 4 hours so it can really soak. It's basically making a cup of tea, but like times 10. And then you're gonna drink that. And you can make them ahead of time, but I probably wouldn't go past like 3 days of leaving it in the jar in the fridge because it starts to lose potency. But this is really the way to go when it comes to having your own little multivitamin, is nettle. The next one is red raspberry leaf. I start this at the beginning of 3rd trimester because it's a uterine tonic. It's gonna help tone all these muscles. It's also got tons of minerals in it and everything. So you can have a little bit throughout your entire pregnancy, but I would start with like infusions of it, which is what I just described, doing half of the jar and then the hot water towards the end to really get your body ready for having this child. Red raspberry leaf. And then my 3rd is alfalfa. Very similar to nettle, alfalfa is fabulous for having a ton of minerals and vitamins for you. Also wonderful once you do have the baby to keep drinking nettle and alfalfa infusions. Alfalfa especially is going to help with breast milk production, but it's just packed. And so I like to have like the foods, the muscle meats, the fats those bringing in my minerals, but also the herbs, because it's all different, right? The plant world and the animal world all belong in the way that we nourish ourselves. Okay, we're almost done. Another one that we named was magnesium. Very, very important. We are getting magnesium in our beef liver. It's so important that I also decided to get magnesium in a different way, just to make sure that I was getting it every day. One way to do this is to have Epsom salt foot baths. You can try to do those every day, maybe every other day. It's not sustainable for me to do a foot bath all the time. I've got a 3-year-old and I'm always busy. So I will take either a morning magnesium or an evening magnesium almost every day. I'm not taking these all the time because I'm getting my beef liver and I'm getting so much great food in, but this is a wonderful source of magnesium if you want to go this route. Also from the company that does the dried oyster is Smidge, and they're the ones that do this. So you will take one in the morning and then the evening one in the evening, and it's incredibly bioavailable, this type of magnesium. The magnesium orotate, taurinate, and malate, and in the evening is the chelated magnesium and magnesium oxide. Formulated for a really easy digestion, energy production, and it has boron in there for better absorption. Very important, and one of the best magnesium supplements I've seen on the market. And that's the only one that isn't completely food-based that I have here that I think is sort of a loophole outside of what we're talking about here in this video because of the way that these are formulated. And last but not least, beef tallow. Wonderful way to get in vitamins, and especially fat-soluble vitamins. And here it is right here, my good old grass-fed beef tallow from Ancestral Supplements. It is pasture-raised, grass-fed, grass-finished, fabulous. Animal fats are the way to go for bleeding bodies and for pregnant bodies. We really absorb the nutrients from them. Beef tallow, if you didn't know, is beef fat. And so it's really, really nutritious and great for a baby's brain, for my body, and for energy and all the good stuff. Beef tallow is maybe not so easy to source to like eat just and buy the spoonful or whatever. So it's definitely one of those ones that I wanted to get a capsule for. One that is an extra bonus in this video is reishi. You may have heard of the reishi baby. You can go on your social media and hashtag reishi baby and maybe read some mother's feedback or herbalists talking about the reishi baby, because it's such an amazing adaptogenic herb that comes from the reishi mushroom that it has been known to produce calmer babies. And it's a really cool thing to like research and to learn about, because it is a calming mushroom adaptogenic herb that helps with your stress responses. So along with helping to combat the damages of stress, it also brings circulation to your brain, which kind of helps with the mommy brain that all of us experience. It helps calm the nervous system, wonderful for sleep. It's got immunomodulatory properties, which means it's gonna help strengthen my immune system and baby's immune system. And yeah, it's just probably one of the coolest tricks is that it helps to produce babies who are calm but alert in spirit. And I've seen this in some of my friends who have tried to make reishi babies and drink reishi all throughout their pregnancy. So I don't know how true it is or if there's any scientific evidence on this, but it is a very powerful adaptogenic mushroom to take. It's ancient. And this one is from Flora Wellness, my friend Meg, who is an herbalist, so I'll link it below. I'll also link another friend of mine, Sasha, who makes really good potent reishi extract, triple extract of reishi. And I just put this in like coffee, tea. I can take it by itself and water and anything. It's really easy to consume. Okay, last but not least is protein. You're gonna wanna be getting your protein every day, as I explained earlier. It is very great for all women of the childbearing age, but especially in pregnancy, to keep us sustained, to keep our blood sugar stable, just to keep us feeling good. You're gonna wanna be getting at least 100 grams of protein a day. It's not that hard, especially if you've got like your collagen drink in the morning. That's your 20 grams of protein immediately, boom, for breakfast. Then you get your eggs and whatever else and your bacon, that's added more. And then you're almost halfway there throughout the day just from breakfast. And then you can continue to add on throughout lunch and dinner. Optimal is between 120 to 150 grams a day, but at least try to hit your 100 gram a day mark. You've heard me talk about it before. As I've moved from veganism over the years to the other side, animal protein is going to meet your needs way more effectively than plant protein will. It's already going to provide your amino acids. It's going to be recognizable to the human body. Your acidic human stomach will be able to break down those proteins effectively, unlike the way that it handles proteins from plants. We are not sheep or cow or goats. It is very difficult for us to digest and for us to absorb the protein from having a lot of plant protein. So animal protein is going to support you and be easier on you throughout your pregnancy. A lot of my friends or clients or people I've spoken to end up craving meat, craving steak, craving eggs throughout their pregnancy, and that's for a reason. Listen to your body, have some grace on yourself. Your baby and your body's asking for it for a reason. And taking these food-based supplements is not going to provide what your body needs as far as protein goes the same way that food will. So all these are amazing food-based supplements, especially the collagen, but it's not meant to work on its own. Have your protein mostly through food. So that is it, beautiful beings. That's pretty much all I have to blab on to you today about food-based nutrition while you are in your pregnancies. Make sure to catch my pregnancy Q&A because I do talk a little bit about nutrition, and I also just go into detail about what my whole process of pregnancy has been like and what I'm going to do for my birth and how I am just supporting myself, how I'm being supported by my family for all of this pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. If you're interested in learning more from me. And also in that pregnancy Q&A, I go down into a little dive about morning sickness. If those of you out there are dealing with morning sickness, which shouldn't even be called morning sickness, it should be called all day sickness because it is something that just attacks you that I barely had to deal with because of the way that I nourished myself in this pregnancy. In my last pregnancy, it took me down for the first like 14 to 15 weeks. So I know what you're going through. And I talk about that in my pregnancy Q&A. That'll be linked below. I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you've now got a page full of notes to move forward and to tell your friends or to just nourish yourself in a more balanced, easeful way throughout this pregnancy. Drop your questions below in the comments if you have them. I'll try to get to you ASAP before I have this baby. And we will see you all in another video. Peace.